Retro gaming is making a comeback. Windows XP gaming is something that I'm getting back into. We have people like Linus Tech Tips who are taking old computer cases and putting modern hardware in them to make them sleeper PCs that look pretty cool. Personally, I find old video cards, back when they were blower style and had artwork on them, to be pretty neat. Now, not everything that is old and has to do with computers is necessarily making a comeback. Today, I'm going to be talking about Nvidia's Ansel, which admittedly is only a couple years old, but it has basically died at this point. Nvidia Ansel is so dead that if you go onto Nvidia's official website and look up which games are compatible with Nvidia Ansel, it redirects you to the page that tells you which games are compatible with Nvidia GeForce Experience, which is basically every game under the sun. Now, the reason for that is because if you do a little bit of digging and look up articles on other online publications, they estimate that there's only about 15 games that really work with Nvidia Ansel. I have 200 plus games in my library, and that's not like XP games included, that's just Windows 10 running games. And Nvidia Ansel works with 2 of them. Part of that is due to me not being a big AAA title player, part of it is just due to there's not much compatibility. To figure out if your games are compatible with Nvidia Ansel, load up the game and press Alt F2. If nothing happens, which it will 99% of the time in my experience, then Nvidia Ansel doesn't work with it. But what Nvidia Ansel would do is allow you to take really good in-game screenshots. And no, I'm not talking about Gary's mod, where you would go through if you take a look over here. It's not just posing a bunch of characters and doing something stupid. Nvidia Ansel is high-class in-game screenshots. For instance, the whole reason I'm doing this video in VR is because Nvidia Ansel allows you to take VR screenshots, even if you're not playing with a VR headset. So here we are standing in the world of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I keep getting those two mixed up. But the point is, you can freely look around anywhere in this moment as I took the screenshot. And if we take a look at another one, it's pretty cool. Now, Nvidia Ansel does not allow you to take VR videos, which would have been really cool in my opinion, but Nvidia Ansel's not supposed to do everything. It hasn't cured any infectious diseases, for example. But the thing that surprised me the most isn't that Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is getting a lot of Nvidia support these days, supports Nvidia Ansel, because it's going to get ray tracing in the not too distant future. But the other game that runs it is Claybook. Claybook is not the most well-optimized game. In fact, it is unnecessarily CPU bottlenecked, and I'll have a video about CPU bottlenecks coming out in the future. I've done a lot of testing. That video is coming out, eventually. It's already been a month. I have no idea why the Claybook developers included Nvidia Ansel, because you'd think, aren't the graphics like super basic anyway? Not that kind of basic. So it's not just that Claybook has the support for this feature. A difference between Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Claybook, huge sample size I know, in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I'll get that right someday. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you can only free look, move the camera away from the character to a certain extent, like 10 to 15 feet in the game. Not that much. In Claybook, I don't know whether it's because they scaled down the objects or they don't do as much object culling, which means objects behind each other are just deleted and not rendered, basically. I don't know why, but Claybook will allow you to free look a lot farther, or what feels like farther, away from where you would normally be in-game. So, why does this feature exist? Does it add any value to these games? And well, the answer is, it depends. Because for me, I think 360 is pretty cool. I've done some 360 rendering in 3ds Max with ray tracing. Not sure if it's the ray tracing or the 360 that makes it more fun, but it's one of the two. I don't own an Oculus Rift or HTC Vive, so the target audience is probably not me. Personally, I think if there was some way to do 360-degree videos in these games, where you could be like on a relaxing beach and just have a 1-hour loop to stand in VR, I think that could be pretty cool. But I think the real reason Nvidia Ansel has 360-degree picture taking in it is because if we take a look at when that was really pushed, is back when VR itself was getting a big push a couple years ago. So I think it's mostly just a product of trying to help sell VR in general, as opposed to something that a lot of people asked for. Because as far as I know, not that many people were really asking for the ability to do 360-degree vision screenshots in Playbook. Now, don't take this negative opinion of taking 360-degree pictures in games as a bad review on Ansel, because there is something else that it does very well, and a video on that is coming out in 2 days, or it'll be recommended in one of these videos. But until then, check out the other videos, stay tuned, get subscribed so you're notified of when that video comes out, and I'll see you in the next one.